Coming up is another fine product from Word in Your Ear. If you'd like to help, go to patreon.com/wordinyourear. For now, on with the show.
Welcome to another edition of Words Down Your Way, which is an occasional offshoot that we do where we talk to people who are about to go on tour, about memories of gigs that they've seen and they've played. And on this occasion, come on down, the great Sid Griffin from the Long Ryders. Sid, it's lovely to see you.
It's lovely to see you guys. This is going to be a lot of fun, I can tell.
Fantastic. And the Long Ryders are about to go on tour in the UK quite shortly. But we usually start by just asking people about memories of first shows that they ever saw. Can you remember anything particularly significant that...
You will remember, Sid. I know you will. Go on.
The first one was very bittersweet. Dick Clark, the American TV promoter, and he had American Bandstand.
Yeah.
Had some offshoot shows. In the States, as soon as your show gets big, you have Cheers or whatever, they offshoot to Frasier or whatever, and so on and so forth. He had a series of offshoot shows, and they had the Dave Clark Five, Hermits, and some local bands playing on the steamboat, the Belle of Louisville, which goes up the Ohio River. It's an authentic steamboat. And I was taken to it, and it sold out, so I couldn't get on. So I could hear and see the steamboat going upriver, and the Dave Clark Five were the first. No, they weren't. Herman was the first one on, because he was smaller at the time. And I could hear Herman like, "Can't you hear my heartbeat?" echoing on the Ohio River. As I watched them go up the Ohio River, and I was just bereft that I couldn't go. My cousins and
How old would you have been?
10 or 11. And
Fantastic.
And I couldn't go for whatever reason. And maybe it was an age thing, but I doubt it. And he was filming. He filmed the show. So, because he filmed in various locations around to draw the public in, as opposed to always being from Los Angeles or wherever he was at that time. And then the first local bands, a lot of local bands in the high school gym, the archetypal American experience that no one's ever heard of, but a lot of fun in the local high school gym, the local YMCA gym. And the first legitimate gig I got in was Carole King, who, believe it or not, at the time was a nobody, had a band with her boyfriend Charlie.
Oh my God!
Called The City.
The City.
They opened up for their second band in the bill was medium famous, and then James Taylor was the headliner, and this was March 14th, 1970, I think it was, and he had the Apple album out, and the first. Sweet Baby James is the first one on Warner Brothers. So that's the first legitimate gig I actually got inside.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's really impressive. It's incredible.
And what's weird is the City didn't, I knew Carole King was. I was already an obnoxious and veteran holier-than-thou record collector. The City, with her boyfriend Charlie, I can't remember his last name.
Larky,
yes. And there was like two other people in the band. They didn't rely on Carole King as the big gun. She was one of the band, which to me is insane. Insane. I don't think the first solo album, which was called Rider, was out yet. And I sure as heck know that the second one, Tapestry, wasn't out yet. And you look back, and I thought they did do 3 or 4 Carole King songs that we know and love. But you would think, just here's Carole King. She's going to sing her own songs. We're away.
Well, but the amazing thing is, I mean, when she toured Britain in 71, she played piano in James Taylor's band.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Just backed him up.
Yes. And I think she came out and did a couple of her own. And that was the amazing thing about it. She gave him You've Got a Friend, didn't she?
Yeah. Which
put it out first, which is just absolutely
really broke him in America. He was bubbling under with hundreds of thousands of sales, and maybe he went gold, but that put him into the Platinum League, where he's resided for the next 2 decades.
So can you remember the first time you were on stage?
Yes, very well indeed. We had a band that my friend Hayes Miller, who after not seeing for 35 years, landed at Heathrow, looked in the time out, and it said Sid Griffin, blah, 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 playing bluegrass at the borderline. He thought it's got to be the same guy. So we've now, after maybe 40 years, have reunited. Hayes Miller had a barbecue in his backyard in 72 in Kentucky, and the then 16-year-old Sid Griffin's band played. And it was our first public appearance. We got $100, which is the kind of thing you won't ever forget, because that was substantial.
That's a lot of money. My
absolutely.
God.
I think with the if you do the you can go online. There's a app that does the whatever your fee was then a year. It puts it in today's dollars. And I think that's something like $600 today.
Yeah.
And my friends have teased me about it ever since, because they claim I wore a red dress because the glitter thing was happening, all this stuff. And what it actually was a red negligee or ladies' nightshirt. It was the whole glitter New York dolls, feminist gender bending was happening. And that was my pitch.
Can you remember what you played then? Were these Sid Griffin self-penned classics, or were they glam standards?
Hold on. This is standing over there, plastic cup. I wrote this. Standing over there, plastic cup in a hand. You see your last summer's girlfriend with this summer's tan. I wrote that. And what was it called?
Great.
What was it called? And then we played one of mine that was an instrumental. Get ready, boys, ladies and gentlemen. Foxhound Blues, the worst instrumental ever. And I can't remember the first song, which had lyrics went. I remember singing that. That was part of it. I remember the Foxhound Blues. And then the rest was a mixture of, we played All Along the Watchtower. We played Gloria. We played Till the End of the Day. We played a Paul Revere and the Raiders song called Just Like Me, which is 4 chords over and over and over. And it got kids up and dancing. I mean, don't laugh.
No.
And I'd have to think about the rest of the set. But yeah.
Well, that sounds.
Mr.
Good.
Spaceman. We played Mr. Spaceman.
Ooh, very good.
Yeah, very good.
So tell us about the Long Ryders tour.
Well, when Tom Stevens died 2 years ago yesterday, our bass player since Christmas 1983, we had a long look in the mirror, and we decided we'd try and record again and crack on. And we made an album last summer in Poway, California, north of San Diego, with Ed Stasium, the Ramones guy, and Phil Spector's main engineer in the 70s and 80s. And it's a really good record. We're gonna support it in May, June in Europe, and then in the middle of the summer we're going to do 2 or 3 weeks in North America. Then in September and October we're going to do about 3 more weeks in Europe to get some of the territories, as we call countries. Yes. Territories. And so we've got 9 or 10 weeks of touring already, with some festivals being dotted in. So it's all very exciting.
So you're I'm going to put this, you're a bunch of gentlemen of a certain age. You're not kids anymore.
No, sir.
How do you approach this? Do you think, whoopee, this is fun?
Yes, because the pressure's off. Right. The pressure's completely off. That Tom Petty said every rock band, or every, I think musical ensemble is what he said, jockeys for position. The band members are always, who's doing this? Whose songs are here? Can I sing? And that's over. That is over. In fact, my peer group all say that. That's over. We've done what we've done. I should have, we got an Americana award last year. We're in the the Country Music Hall of Fame right now in Tennessee. We've done what we've done. We're acknowledged as being who the Long Ryders are. Jess, are you barking an enthusiastic affirmation? You want to be let out of the cage? Anyway, so we've done what we've done. People in the know who we are. I'd love to take it to the next level, as they say in sport. Right. Who knows if we will? Who knows? But it's so much fun now. I see all the guys, and one other thing I want to interject is Carl Wilson once said, when the Beach Boys go on the road and it's going well, it's almost like they're standing still and people come to them. And I'd say every third night, some old friend shows up somewhere in the world.
Yes,
it must be lovely. Yes.
I mean, in Hong Kong, guy shows up named George I haven't seen in eons. Hong Kong. What?
I've got to ask you about, you mentioned that there's an old mate of yours arrived at Heathrow and saw you in, that you're doing your Bluegrass Sessions. You post pictures on Twitter or wherever of your Bluegrass Sessions, and they do look very inviting. Tell us about that. That's just in a pub, isn't it, in North London?
It's the main, there's Bluegrass Sessions all over UK and Europe, but there's the key one in London, and there's one Sunday night at the Lamb on Holloway Road. There's one in Pimlico on, I think, Saturday afternoon. I like the one Tuesday night at the Landseer pub on Landseer, what I would call the border of Holloway, where it meets Archway, and that's the Landseer Arms, I think it is. I just call it the Landseer, and it's on, funny enough, Landseer, and it starts at 7. I usually get there around 8. And there's some the reason I go there is it's convenient to my house, but there's some really good players there.
So is this an open mic thing that people just step up and play?
Well, you just
they all sit around a table with a pint, and people have got banjos and guitars and whatever. It looks so
that's so much fun. Like old time. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Very Greenwich Village, 1961.
There's not a stage, is there, Sid?
No, I mean, but people are listening. David, the people are listening. There's people all around that are listening, and at the end of not every single song, but some songs, people applaud uproariously, and sometimes we go off in an 8-minute instrumental that just gets a bit Jerry Garcia meets David Grisman. Fantastic records, and it ends, and you can hear people shuffling their pint and ordering crisps, but yeah, it's Tuesday night. It's heavenly, and mostly Brits. I think myself, Sid Thoreau's, and there's a guy named Tom from Davis, California, on flat picking guitar. Yeah. And the rest of the mob is British.
That's fantastic. So back to the Long Ryders tour. I mean, what are you going to be playing? What are you going to be doing?
Well, we're going to do some songs off the last album, Psychedelic Country Soul, and then we're going to do some, obviously, off the new album, September, November. And then you have to do things like I Had a Dream and Final Wild Sun and Looking for Lewis and Clark. There are horrific floods in eastern Kentucky earlier this year, and I just got a clip from last Thursday night in Louisville, Kentucky, my hometown, birthplace of Muhammad Ali, folks. And they next to the last song of the evening, and this is with local bands, Cage the Elephant, My Morning Jacket, the Kentucky Headhunters, Joan Osborne, who sang "If God Was One of Us." She was going to go. She's from Anchorage, which is a Louisville suburb, shall we say. And I don't think she showed up, but she was on the bill. Couldn't get there from New York. And they ended with Looking for Lewis and Clark. So I was really, really blessed this past week, as you can imagine, because this Greg Martin of the Kentucky Headhunters and various guys, I can't remember if Will Oldham was there. I've known Will Oldham since he was a kid. But I mean, they all did Looking for Lewis and Clark. So that has to be done in any Long Ryders performance.
Is that a song particularly associated with Kentucky, apart from Long Ryders?
Well, Lewis and Clark started their exhibition in Louisville. They did. Okay, right. The water to go west, to go all the way to the Pacific Ocean. They literally put them in the water. You can go see where they did it.
Right.
Tell the story.
Yeah.
Great story.
Yeah.
So the greatest show you ever saw, Sid? Most impressive live performance?
I tell people these things, and their faces sort of fall. I find over here in Europe, they want me to say some hip, obscure indie band. The most consistent live band I ever saw, and I saw them 40 times, was Peter Case's band, the Plimsouls, who are a power pop.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I saw, I think the second greatest gig, or third greatest, let's do it this way, third greatest, Sam and Dave.
All right. Okay.
Tear it up. Second greatest was Big Joe Turner, backed by the Lee Allen Orchestra.
Goodness me!
Backed by the who? Backed by the Lee?
Lee Allen was the sax
player in New Orleans. Yeah.
Him and Herb Hardesty ruled New Orleans up till the Beatles broke. And he was playing with Big Joe Turner, and he had a couple of the blasters in the band, and a lot of old, crusty African-American faces that I couldn't recognize. And that was the second greatest gig I'd ever seen.
God, that would have been amazing.
And it really was. And it was it was the role of rock and roll. It wasn't the rock part.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it was a 16-piece band and like 11 horns.
Oh, wow.
It just was like, the horns aren't mic'd. I don't know if a lot of young people know this. The horns, you don't have to mic 11 horns because they cut through.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa. And then the very, very, very greatest was I had front row center seats for the first time the Everly Brothers reunited and played Los Angeles.
Oh, wonderful.
Front row center at the Greek. And I put my feet up on the stage by the monitor. I was so close. That's how close I was. And at one point, Don Everly did all the talking. I could see Phil always wanted to speak, and Don always spoke. And I felt like saying, no wonder you guys don't get along. Let Phil say something into the microphone. You could see it.
Yeah.
At one point, Don said, we're from Kentucky. And I was so close without thinking. I went, I am too. And Don stopped and looked over the monitor and went, really? And I thought, we're going to have a conversation in the middle of the show. And I went, oh. And they were terrific. And I've told, people want me to say, I saw the Hopelessly Obscure, and they later went on to form Nirvana, and they later went on to, No, those are my three. And
those are great.
Exquisite, Albert Lee and all that crowd backing them up. And the harmonies were just beautiful. And it was a lovely, balmy, warm LA night with a slight breeze through the trees. My favorite gig, the Everly Brothers.
Fantastic.
That's terrific,
really
Sid. Well, look, it's been lovely to talk to you. And we're able to say at this particular juncture, good luck with the tour.
Thank you very much.